This is a podcast of hope. Close the door, put out the light. You know they won't be home tonight. You chose the path where no one goes. We hold no quarter. Hello. Welcome to another episode, No Quarter Podcast. This is actually the 23rd. Happy 23rd episode. Michael Jordan in the house. MJ, be like Mike, number 23, Chicago Bulls. I got a special number 23 to you. Not as special as Michael Jordan. Who's as special as Michael Jordan? LeBron. No. The topic today I want to talk about is passion. And if you have passion in your life, you need passion. And also the topic is the contagiousness of passion. That if you find someone who is, like the example I heard and I kind of related to was, if you like the TV show No Reservations with Anthony Bourdain, and you don't like cooking, but you like that show, and now you like cooking. His passion for cooking infected you, and now you care about the preparation and the acquiring of those ingredients for that food, to prepare and cook that food. His passion for being a chef and his passion for other chefs is contagious, and I think that's why his show is it's very popular. So that's the example of passion. If you have, it doesn't really matter what it is, if you are passionate about something, that it's contagious. You guys are looking at one of my passions right now. I have a contagious passion for fish tanks. I love keeping these aquariums and having these water art pieces in my house is a very rewarding passion of mine that I really enjoy doing. Even like some of the harder parts of this passion, of this hobby, I've found joy in. An example I'm thinking of is just doing like water changes with aquariums. You're dealing with water and hoses, and if you spill water, you get pissed. And I can think of a lot of times where I'm just like, this is so infuriating. I fucking hate this. This is the worst possible. Like how you would feel about work. Like, why the fuck am I here? Why am I doing this? I hate working. But I wasn't doing it for a job. I was doing it for my fish tanks. And I was spilling water and making a mess and putting too much shit in my tanks and ruining stuff. And I've killed fish. And but I really, I studied and I worked hard and I did what you're supposed to do, step-by-step guide in taking care of the aquariums that I've chosen to take care of, because it's a huge spectrum. You can have sharks in your aquarium, you can have stingrays in your aquarium, so you can go from anywhere to the next, or like you can go from one end to the other. My passion was for making these stupid fish tanks and getting them to where I wanted them to. And you guys are seeing them now. I actually put a video up, if you've seen past podcasts. I wanted to have a couple of breeding pairs of angelfish, and that's what I ended up with. And it was really, it's not an easy thing to do. If you can't go into Petco and say, I'd like a breeding pair of angelfish, please, and put it in my planned aquarium. What I have here, you can't really buy at Petco. I'm sure you can get really close with money and but it took me several years to get this good at maintaining a fish tank, maintaining everything in it and everything that had to do with that system. And it was a passion, and that's what kept me through those years of doing it, and those years of why the fuck am I doing this, was the passion I had for these fish tanks. And I've talked to a lot of my friends, I've talked to family, and most people would say that I talk too much about my fish tanks. But I love it. It's a fun thing, and I've seen moments where I've inspired passion in other people, where they're like, oh, I could get a fish tank. Not a lot of them have. I can only think of maybe one or two people who have actually said, I've actually talked about fish and then actually went out and got fish. But it's a fun hobby that I really enjoy doing, and I really like the way, like the hobby that I have. There's a way of telling that if somebody's really into this hobby, and you meet them, and you're like, "Oh, you keep aquariums?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I keep aquariums." Or you have an aquarium. That's the kind of the give odds. I kind of did it there. Is if someone says they have an aquarium, or they have aquariums, plural. It's called in the hobby, or in the little community that I follow, it's called multiple tank syndrome. It's when you have more than one tank and you're looking after more than one tank at a time. Multiple tank syndrome, it's kind of a funny syndrome. It's not a bad one to have. I definitely have MTS. I'll try to stop saying I have 4 tanks. They're all freshwater. But I started with one, as most people do, and then that passion grew. I started with one, and I was like, oh, I could do this. I know how to do this. It's getting easier. Now that I know what I'm doing with the more information that I acquired, the easier it got. The more repetitions I did, the easier it got. The more maintenance I did, the easier it got to maintain these fish tanks. So I think that's a huge example towards a lot of other passions and hobbies in your life. That if you could find somebody to spread their contagious passion for something, get that passion in your own, have that passion drive yourself with your own passion, so you don't even need this other guy anymore, this contagious person, patient number 1, who can spread the passion contagiousness to you. The passion disease, I'll call it the passion disease. He spread the passion disease to you, and now you have that passion disease, and now you will spread that passion disease to other people for that passion, because passion is contagious. If you show a lot of interest and a lot of heart, or a lot of, like Anthony Bourdain does, towards cooking, his passion will affect you, and you will all of a sudden think a little bit more about cooking. You will think a little bit more about an aquarium. Think a little bit more about a hobby that you have, and what it takes to pursue it, to master that hobby or skill. Some hobby skills are clearly not master. You can't be a master of them. Like I'm thinking, I just watched a video the other day about astronauts in the International Space Station. That's probably the pinnacle you can get as an astrophysicist scientist, is being an astronaut in space, in the International Space Station, getting on a rocket ship, going up into space, past how many layers of frickin' atmosphere, and then hanging out and sitting and being in the International Space Station. That's your passion. And then once you're in there, there's been dozens of people there before you. So there are clearly people who have passions greater than yours, and then you got there, and then you come home, and I don't know, I'm just kind of trying to relate it to life and passion, and that's the drive and what you want to do with your life. These fish tanks are my passion. Multiple tank syndrome. I have multiple tanks. I have a lot of other they are passions in my life, and I've listed them here on the podcast before. I love bikes and fish, umbrellas, sailboats, philosophy, history, comedy. I love it all. So I need to maintain and find and spread this passion for these subjects because I think they're worth finding and spreading and talking about. And these tanks have been, like, I have a tank and I have certain fish that have been with me for 5+ years now. So this hobby has become a part of my life. And I'm glad that I decided and chose to make this aquarium hobby, passion, part of my life. And I think that was a really good decision that I made in my youth, 5 years ago or whenever, when I started to keep fish keeping. So I'd like to make some more decisions in my life and draw some other passions further into my life, that are as influential, beneficial, and positive as fish keeping and aquarium keeping. I have a passion for maintaining systems, and I found that that's kind of why aquarium keeping kind of fell right into my lap, is that I really like setting up systems. When you set up an aquarium, it's essentially this big piece of furniture that doesn't move, that you have to set things up like it's like a couch, that you can't just set a couch in a room and the couch stays that way. It's a couch that you have to hook up like an automatic vacuum cleaner to, in case like your change falls in between the cushions. You have to hook up a regulator temperature thermostat to this couch, so when you sit on it, it's not too cold, it's not too hot, because even though you are a dirty human monkey body thing sitting on the couch, and it's okay if your pockets, everything in your pockets fall out into the couch, it's not okay if a fish sits on that couch and that couch is too cold and all the stuff gets sucked out of a fish's pocket as soon as it sits on that couch. So that's what an aquarium is. I have to make sure it's the right temperature so it doesn't get too cold or too hot. I have to make sure the water is too good so it doesn't get sucked up or sucked out or fucked up because of the water. So it's much more than just a piece of furniture. It's a system. And I have a passion for making systems, and I've found that's something that I really enjoy doing, is setting up and maintaining them. So I really want to incorporate that into a future passion of mine. Anybody who knows me, like my multiple tank syndrome, one fish tank you have to have temperature regulations, right, lights, water. You have to have it all for one system, for one aquarium. It's a closed system that has to be regulated. And I have multiple aquariums. So I'm running multiple systems concurrently, and you have to, like, if I forget about one tank or let one fly off don't care about it, and I just forget about it or whatever, that tank starts to suffer. I've only shown you guys 3 of my tanks. I have 4. I have one that I'm not very proud of because it's an experiment that I'm trying to master how to take care of. It's another freshwater aquarium. It's outside, so the temperature fluctuations and the light fluctuations and just being outside is not as controlled as an aquarium in a room. So I'm trying to master an aquarium that does what it wants. You're like, I'm going to do this today. I'm going to get really cold today. I'm going to get really hot today. And I've only lost 1 fish. And it kind of looks good. It definitely doesn't look as good as these other tanks. But it's like I'm still growing and I'm still trying this passion. And there's still things that I can't really master. I can't do well. I can't, because I don't know yet, but I'm trying. And that's where the passion comes in. I'm not sure the best route to take, so I'm just going for it, and I'm just doing it. And I did some research, I know some things, but you don't know nothing until you just try it. So I'm trying it, it's working. I did a water change on it yesterday, it's okay. But that's what I mean by, like, what I like doing is building systems, maintaining systems, and comparing those systems to see which one works the best. Like, which method works the best to achieve what I want out of all the methods available, all the techniques I possess. So I really enjoy this, I don't know, the like, you have to be very, very passionate about an aquarium to keep an aquarium. You have to be very, very passionate about fighting karate to fight karate. You have to be very, very passionate about being a doctor to be a doctor, because there's a lot of trials, tribulations, and hardships that go along with that action, that hobby, that job, that calling, that vocation. So I just wanted to share a little bit of mine, and I love the idea that passion can be contagious. I have a large passion for these aquariums. I am pulling all these passions together into this YouTube account, into this channel. This is the No Quarter Podcast. It's all about passion here. I care about history, comedy, philosophy, bikes, fish, sailboats, umbrellas. Passionate about these things and more. I really, really enjoy making these, pumping these out, so I'm going to keep doing it. I don't really care how successful or unsuccessful they are, as long as it highlights my passions in my way. And that's all I'm doing, is I'm doing things my way, and I'm doing things that I'm passionate about. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. No Quarter Andrew 25. No 25 Andrew, is out. Thanks again for listening. No Quarter Podcast. Let your passions drive your life. I hope my passion I had a little contagion and sent you a virus this way, but it's a good vibes virus of having you get into your passions and get it rolling, get it started, get her done. Larry the Cable Guy. Love it. All right, thanks for listening. I will see you later. Have a good day and focus your mind. Later. Walking side by side with death, the devil mocks their every step. The snow drives back, the foot that's slow, the dogs of doom are howling more. They ask no quarter.